It was a typical Friday night, at least, as typical as it gets for me. My name's Alex, and I'm the kind of guy who stays home binge-watching whatever random nonsense happens to be streaming on the internet. Tonight, it was some stand-up comedy special I'd already seen a dozen times, but I figured I could use some familiar laughs. The kind of laughs that didn't require any human interaction. I was deep in my couch potato groove, just staring blankly at the screen, when a weird noise broke my concentration. It wasn't a creak or a bang like something falling off the shelf. No, this sounded more like a whoosh, or maybe like something lightly tapping against the window. Now, I've been living in this apartment for a while, so I thought it might be some branches brushing against the window, but still, my curiosity got the better of me. I stood up from the couch, peeking out the window. At first, I didn't see anything, but the tapping continued. I cracked the window open slightly, poking my head out. That's when I saw her. A girl. A girl? No, wait, she wasn't just a girl. Her skin was a weird shade of green, like someone mixed too many paints together. And her eyes, glowing like little stars, bright and bizarre. And then there was her outfit. It wasn't anything human, that's for sure. She wore a massive hoodie, kind of oversized, but it looked like it was made of shiny, silvery material that shimmered even in the dim streetlight. It wasn't normal. Not at all. She waved at me, smiling like she hadn't a care in the world. "Hey!" she called out in a voice that was sweet, almost melodic. I froze. Was this a prank? Was someone messing with me? Maybe I had just inhaled too much pizza or something. But no, she wasn't leaving. She didn't even look like she belonged in the same galaxy as me. She made her way to the window, crawled in like she'd done this 100 times. I backed away instinctively, my heart racing. Hello? Can I help you?" I stammered. "Oh, yes," she said, her voice still light and bright, but with a slightly confused lilt. "I am Zyra. I am here to learn about your species. I've come to understand your romantic customs." I blinked a few times. Romantic customs? I was sure I heard that wrong. Romantic customs? I repeated slowly. "You mean, like what you want to, what do you mean by that?" She nodded eagerly. "Yes. I have been instructed to observe your mating rituals, so that I may gain a better understanding of your kind." I froze for a moment, my brain failing to keep up. Was she joking? This had to be some weird, elaborate prank. I mean, I watched enough sci-fi shows to know how these things went. First, you think it's a joke, then you get abducted by aliens. Wait, was I being abducted right now? I tried to get a grip. This wasn't a movie. Right. I'm sorry, I think there's some confusion here. This isn't a reality show or something, right? I muttered. Because you're an alien? Correct. I am from the Zarnak cluster, just a few light years away from your planet Earth, Zyra said proudly. She gave me a small bow, like she had just delivered some Nobel-worthy statement. So, can you show me how your species performs their romantic rituals? I could feel my face going red, like some cartoon character who just realized they were trapped in a nightmare. I mean, okay, I wasn't a complete idiot. I knew the basics of romance, right? Kissing, maybe some awkward dates, stuff like that. But this? This was next-level awkward. I wasn't exactly a Casanova to begin with. In fact, I hadn't even kissed anyone in, like, over a year. I was probably the worst guy to be showing an alien how to romance anyone. But she was looking at me like I held the key to the universe. Well, okay, I said, trying to gain some semblance of confidence. So, romantic customs. You're in luck, because I've definitely read some books on this stuff, you know? Zyra's eyes lit up, clearly thinking I was some kind of expert. Books? That's what I need to understand. She looked around the room and zeroed in on my bookshelf. These books are evidence of your species' mating rituals? Books? I repeated, a little panicked. No. These are just fictional stories. You know, like just things people make up, not real life. She nodded seriously. Yes, I understand now. Fiction. Perhaps these books are part of your ritual. Do you perform them in public? I stared at her, wide-eyed. She had no idea what she was talking about, and my mind was racing with the implications of this whole situation. No. We don't really perform these stories in public. They're just for reading. Zaira tilted her head. Interesting. Do humans only engage in their rituals in private spaces like this room? She looked around with complete curiosity. I didn't know whether to laugh or scream. Well, yeah, kinda. The whole idea of romance involves privacy. It's, personal. Intimate, I guess. Personal, she exclaimed, clapping her hands together. So, this is the time when we do it. We must be personal with each other. I had no idea how to respond. She was interpreting everything in the weirdest way. Well, yeah, sure. We need to be personal, I mumbled. I started pacing around nervously. Look, maybe you should just sit down. I need to think. Zaira hopped onto the couch with a big smile. Good idea. I am ready for the next step in the ritual. I rubbed my forehead in disbelief. This was not happening. This was not real life. But there she was, an alien girl in my room, thinking I was the world's most confusing romance expert. And if I didn't do something fast, I was about to get myself into a situation I might never be able to explain, if I even survived it. I stared at Zaira, my brain trying desperately to process the situation. Wait, hold up, I said, holding up a hand. I think there's some confusion here. We don't just do it with strangers like that. I mean, we're not just gonna. But Zaira was already nodding, taking me completely seriously. Yes, I understand. The ritual must be intimate and private. She took a step toward me, eyes gleaming with that unsettling enthusiasm. So, what do we do now? Do we hold hands? I blinked. Hold hands? Sure, yeah, I guess that's a start. But you don't just jump into. My words trailed off as she immediately reached for my hand, her green fingers warm and surprisingly soft. She looked at me expectantly, waiting for the magic to happen, I guess. I was frozen in place, unsure whether this was a dream, a prank, or a weird alien experiment. Still, I did my best to salvage what little dignity I had left. I cleared my throat. So, holding hands is fine. But there's more to it than just, physical touch. There's, conversation, getting to know each other. Zaira furrowed her brow, her eyes narrowing as she processed the concept of conversation. Yes. Conversation. I see. We must engage in dialogue. I have studied human speech, but the nuances are complex. Tell me, Alex, do you prefer the pursuit or the conquest? I blinked again, momentarily unsure if she was speaking English. The pursuit? What? Zaira looked satisfied with her own knowledge, or at least she was pretending to be. Yes, the pursuit, as you Earthlings call it. I read about it in the romantic rituals section of my human interaction manual. It involves a sort of chase, right? I rubbed my temples. Zaira, I think you're mixing up some stuff here. The pursuit, the chase, that's more of a metaphor. It's not literal. She tilted her head again, processing my words. Metaphor. Right. So when you say pursuit, you mean you run away and I chase you like in a race? Now I was the one who needed a second to figure out how to explain this without sounding like an idiot. No, not a race. It's more like a back and forth, A dance. But with words. Zaira stared at me for a long moment, trying to make sense of the bizarre human customs. Then, without warning, she did something that made my jaw drop. She pulled out a small alien gadget from her hoodie pocket, held it up to her face, and spoke into it in a series of clicks and beeps. After a few seconds, she turned back to me, her eyes glowing even brighter. I have acquired the proper data on your dance, she said confidently. Let us proceed. I was about to ask what the hell she meant by data, when she grabbed my shoulders and spun me around. My heart skipped a beat, and not in the romantic way I was hoping for. Wait, what are you doing? I blurted out. Engaging in the dance of your people, she replied, her voice dead serious. I believe it involves a series of hand movements and synchronized leg motions. She began flailing her arms in a completely chaotic manner, attempting to mimic what she thought was a dance. I was nearly knocked over by her uncoordinated movements. I couldn't help it. I burst out laughing. That's not how it works, I shouted between gasps for air. You don't just move around like that. Look, okay, let's just sit down and talk. Let's, start over. Zaira paused mid-dance, her expression one of utter confusion. Start over? But I thought we were engaging in the ritual? Yeah, well, kind of, I said, wiping tears from my eyes. But not like this. I mean, you're overcomplicating it. Maybe we just, talk first? You know, like normal people do when they, get to know each other. She said, her face lighting up. You humans must engage in conversation to understand each other's intentions before moving to the ritual. I see now. You do not want to waste energy on misunderstanding. I rubbed my temples again, feeling a headache coming on. Yeah, that's exactly it. We sat down on the couch, me trying to collect my thoughts while Zaira looked at me, expectantly. So, Zaira, what's your deal, I guess? Where are you from exactly? I'm still trying to wrap my head around, well, all of this. She leaned back, crossing her arms thoughtfully. I am from the Zarnak cluster, a highly advanced civilization on a distant planet. My species has evolved beyond the need for physical communication, but I was assigned to study humans. Your methods of mating fascinate me. I blinked. Mating? Yes, she said, smiling proudly. Your ritual of pairing fascinates me. You do not simply merge together, but first you. Okay, hold on, I interrupted, my face going even redder than before. Let's slow down. I think there's something you're missing here. You can't just jump to the mating thing. There's a whole build-up. You know, dates, getting to know each other, a little flirting, you gotta feel it, you know? Zaira nodded slowly, clearly trying to process everything I was saying. I understand. So we must flirt first before we begin the ritual? I put my face in my hands. Yes, Zaira. Flirting is kind of a necessary step. She tilted her head again, this time a little more seriously. How does one flirt? She asked the question like she was studying a new species of insect. Okay, I sighed. Flirting is, well, it's subtle, right? You don't just ask someone if they want to mate. You make them feel special, you know? Compliment them, tease them a little bit, but not too much. Ah, yes, she said, a smirk playing on her lips. Compliments, teasing, like this. She suddenly leaned forward and said, You have impressive human appendages. She paused, waiting for my reaction. I choked on my own spit. What? What are you? Your hands, Alex. They are large, strong. Are they used for the rituals of your people? She asked, completely deadpan. I froze, face burning. I couldn't even respond. Zaira just smiled, completely pleased with herself. I believe I have made a proper compliment. Was that flirting? I stared at her for a good 5 seconds, trying to wrap my head around what just happened. Sure, Zaira. That was flirting. I was trying to wrap my head around what Zaira had just said when she leaned in a little too close, her glowing eyes practically glowing with excitement. So, Alex, she said, her voice low and serious, do humans have a specific method of preparing for the ritual? I froze. Preparing? Ritual? Was she talking about what I thought she was talking about? I took a quick step back, trying to keep my cool, even though inside I was panicking. I mean, not really. There's no real preparation per se. You just you meet someone, get to know each other, and maybe, go out on a date. She looked like she was absorbing my words carefully, then nodded slowly. I understand. This date, is it a preliminary event before engaging in the full mating ritual? My head spun. Mating ritual? No. I stammered, trying to get a grip. It's more like, dinner or drinks. You talk. You get to know each other. There's no ritual, no, full mating. Not at first. I mean, most of the time. Zaira didn't seem to get the hint. She stared at me intently, her head tilting like a confused dog. But I read that the ritual is necessary for the continuation of the species, right? So why would humans wait to engage in it? My face flushed as I stumbled over my words. I mean, we don't just jump into things. It's a process. Like trust and chemistry? Chemistry! She exclaimed, suddenly excited. Yes, I have studied this. It is a very important part of the human mating process. She reached into her hoodie and pulled out a small, glowing vial filled with some kind of green liquid. I have brought this with me. This is Zarnokian essence. It will help us establish the proper chemistry to proceed. I stared at the vial in horror. Wait, what? Is that some kind of drug? Zaira looked at me with an offended expression. Drug? No. This is an essential part of the mating ritual on my planet. It is necessary to enhance the connection between the two participants. She held the vial up, looking at me expectantly. I stepped back instinctively, my palms sweating. No offense, but I think I'm good. I mean, I'm not sure how your essence works, but we don't use stuff like that on Earth. Zaira seemed undeterred. I understand, Alex. On Earth, you must rely on your mind to build chemistry. But I am afraid I do not fully understand how this process works. She looked genuinely disappointed, like I had let her down. Perhaps you can show me? I have been studying human interaction manuals all night, but there is so much I do not understand. I swallowed hard, trying to regain some level of control. Okay. No alien potions. Let's try this again. How about we just talk some more? We'll start slow. You can ask me questions about, normal human stuff. Zaira nodded eagerly, her eyes bright. Yes. Let us proceed with your method of bonding. I will ask you questions. She leaned forward, her face mere inches from mine, and I could feel my heart racing. Okay, I muttered, trying to calm down. Fire away. What is the significance of holding hands in your species? She asked seriously. I blinked. Holding hands is, it's a sign of affection, It shows you're close with someone. Maybe you care about them. It's not too serious. But it can lead to more, like kissing. Zaira's eyes widened, and she nodded. So kissing comes after holding hands? That is the next step in the process. Is that correct? Yeah, that's right, I said, feeling increasingly awkward. But, just so you know, you don't have to follow the steps exactly. You don't need to. Before I could finish, she reached up and planted a kiss on my cheek, her lips cool and surprisingly gentle. It was sweet, in a way, but it also left me in a state of utter confusion. I tried to process it, but she was already moving on to the next thing. Now we are ready for the next step, she said with absolute confidence. The kiss. It must be shared with sincerity, yes? I froze. What? Wait, no, you don't have to. Zaira wasn't listening. She had already leaned in, and before I could stop her, she pressed her lips against mine, her kiss soft, but firm. I could feel my heart pounding in my chest. It was weird. It wasn't the kind of kiss I was used to. It wasn't romantic. It was more like she was checking something off a list. I pulled back, my face flushed, my mind racing. Whoa, wait a second! What was that? Zaira looked confused. Did I not perform the kiss properly? I have studied the proper procedure for human affection, but it seems that there is something I am missing. I blinked. Yeah, no kidding. You can't just kiss someone like that out of nowhere. You have to, make sure the other person wants to kiss you too. Zyra was undeterred. I understand. So, the kiss is a mutual decision. This is more complicated than I thought. I tried to collect my thoughts, but honestly, I was barely keeping up. Yeah, exactly. You don't just do it, you need a connection first. It's about trust and chemistry, you know? You can't rush it. Zyra nodded, clearly trying to make sense of my explanation. I see. The kiss is an expression of trust. Yeah, I said, still feeling a little dazed. Trust and respect. You can't just do it because it's on the checklist, you know? She stood up and paced the room, muttering to herself. Trust, respect, chemistry. I must remember these elements for future rituals. I couldn't help but laugh a little, even though I was completely flustered. Well, I guess that's a step in the right direction. But hey, next time, maybe we take things a little slower. Okay? Zyra stopped, looking at me with a gleam in her eyes. Slower? I see. Patience is key in the ritual of affection. We will continue our studies another time, Alex. I had no idea what just happened, but I knew one thing. I was in way deeper than I ever thought I'd be. By this point, I was almost too embarrassed to look Zyra in the eye. It was like I had accidentally invited a mix of a confused alien and a high school drama queen into my apartment. But she wasn't giving up. Her eyes were wide with expectation, like she was ready for the next lesson in Human Romance 101. I cleared my throat. Okay, listen, I'm really sorry, but you can't just do things like that. You can't go around kissing people you barely know. I mean, that's just not how we work on Earth. There's more to it, like building trust, talking, getting comfortable with each other. Zyra nodded like she was absorbing every word. Yes, trust. I see. So, what you are saying is that trust is the foundation of the mating ritual? Yeah, that's part of it, I said, trying to sound reasonable. But you know, it's also about, like, feeling a connection. Having something in common. You don't just jump into kissing someone because you think it's the right thing to do. You have to. Before I could even finish my sentence, Zyra's eyes lit up again. Connection. Yes, I believe I understand this. You are telling me that the ritual is emotional before it becomes physical? I nodded hesitantly, still unsure of where this conversation was going. Exactly. It's about emotional connection first. The physical part, that comes later. You can't just force it. Zyra looked very thoughtful, as if she were genuinely processing this information. Emotional connection. I have seen this in human media. In the romantic films, when two people are in love, they make love? Yeah, but only after they've spent time together. And there's a lot more to love than just, well, making love. I winced as I said it. I mean, that's just one part of it. The connection comes from trust, friendship, respect. That's the foundation. Zyra was now visibly excited, like I had just revealed the secret to the universe. So, humans do not begin their rituals by fighting? She seemed confused, almost disappointed by the idea. Because on my planet, many species engage in physical combat first to prove their strength and worth. Then the bonding begins. I was taken aback. Wait, what? You start with fighting? That's a little extreme, don't you think? Zyra waved her hand dismissively. It is a cultural thing, Alex. On my planet, it is considered an essential part of the ritual. We engage in combat to demonstrate our strength and ability to protect our mate. It is a way of showing that we are worthy. I couldn't help but laugh. You fight to prove you're worthy? No wonder you guys are so intense. I don't think Earthlings would be too happy with that. Could you imagine? A date where we have to, like, duel with swords or something to see who's worthy of the kiss? Zyra didn't laugh. She looked completely serious. Is that not the proper way? To prove yourself before engaging in the bond? I shook my head. No. Trust me, that would not go over well here. Earth people aren't into violence on dates. Maybe in movies, but not in real life. It's more about connection, not combat. Zyra still seemed puzzled. So, you humans do not fight for affection? Interesting. Then how do you know when someone truly wants to engage in your ritual? I paused for a second, trying to think of how to explain this. It's mutual, I guess. You feel it when someone wants to be with you. It's about how they treat you, how you make each other feel. It's about making sure the person wants it just as much as you do. Zaira processed this information with the same serious expression. I see. So, if I show affection first, you would know that I want to engage in the bonding process? I almost choked. No. It doesn't work like that. You don't just show affection and expect someone to jump in. You have to wait for the other person to be ready too. Zaira gave a small nod of understanding. So, mutual readiness. That is the key. But how do I know when I am ready for the ritual? I have studied all the steps. I have the data, but I feel there is something I am missing. I sighed, running a hand through my hair. Okay, I think I can explain this. Being ready for the ritual, it's not just about timing. It's about comfort. Both people have to be comfortable with each other first. It's about feeling safe, and being able to trust the other person. It's not about rushing. It's about respecting each other's space and boundaries. Zaira blinked at me for a second. Space and boundaries. Yes, I understand this. In my culture, when two beings bond, they respect each other's physical limits. I have read about this, but I am unsure of what these limits are. Okay, I think I see the problem now, I said, rubbing my eyes. You're not from around here, so you don't know how to respect personal space. And you don't know what no means. You need to learn how to take things slowly. You can't just force things. You need to make sure the other person is okay with it. Not everyone is going to be okay with you jumping into their personal space. Zaira was silent for a moment, clearly thinking this over. Then, she looked at me, a gleam in her eye. I think I understand now, Alex. I must approach the ritual with patience and understanding. I must not rush into things. I nodded, glad that we were finally on the same page. Exactly. And no more weird kissing or bringing out alien potions, all right? Zaira chuckled, looking sheepish for the first time. Understood. No alien potions. No strange rituals. Just patience and respect. Yeah, that's the way to do it, I said with a grin. Now, let's get back to normal conversation. No more of this alien romance stuff. Okay? Zaira nodded earnestly, clearly taking my advice to heart. Agreed. I will learn your ways, Alex. But I must admit, I find your human customs very fascinating. Yeah, well, you might want to take a few notes for next time, I said, a nervous chuckle escaping. But maybe keep the whole alien romance thing to a minimum, all right? Zaira smiled, and for the first time all night, I felt like maybe, just maybe, we were getting somewhere.